CMPRadio.net. It's the station.
La 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 la. Behind me, see my tears fall down. So many things have happened. The years go by and the friends you have for no more jealousy and envy. Wow, because you keep on grinding, people wanna see you fail and
Check. Hey, everybody out there in Facebook land, how y'all doing? And I don't just want to say Facebook land. I've been ignoring YouTube land, so everybody doing it YouTube land. Today I don't have any guests, but I'm going to have an open conversation. I'm also going to pass a little bit of information along about what's going on in these upcoming weeks and stuff that I got going on with shows and things of that nature. So the first thing I'm going to say is, so there's an act that has been passed to protect Asians pretty much from persecution. And I think that that's a fabulous idea. But my question is, African American people have been getting killed and hung and cut and burned and drowned and for so many years. And it's not even me trying to stir the proverbial pot. But my question is, how can you pass an act and a law to protect transgender people, homosexual people, freaking Asian people, and not the very people who have been accosted so much in America? It's weird. It's honestly weird. I'm trying to figure that out. I just want one person to explain to me, how is that so? Why is that the case? Then I hate to sound like I'm bitching, but I guess I'm going to be bitching because you're running around talking about, here, take this vaccine. This vaccine is going to protect us all. This vaccine is going to this vaccine is going to that. And in all reality, I know people who have had like COVID and actually are still being pushed into taking shots from their jobs and stuff like that. And to me, it was my understanding that if you had caught COVID, that your body would produce antibodies, to protect you from anything else, from getting COVID again. But I guess it doesn't really work that way. And I'm not standing here trying to tell you that I am a doctor. I'm not standing here saying that I'm a lawyer. I'm not sitting here saying that I'm anything but who I am. But I'm just trying to understand the world anymore. And with each passing day, it seems like it's harder to understand the simple things or the things that were supposed to be simple, shall I say, because nothing is simple anymore. Nothing is. Everything becomes more complicated as the days go by. One thing that I'm clear about is that there is no protection, for us from this country. And I honestly feel that way. You'll have people yelling out, oh, well, there's welfare, there's this, there's that. And I'm sorry, that's not protection. To me, if anything, it's a crutch. Because even those things come with stipulations to keep you standing in place. It doesn't build our community. It doesn't help our community to grow. So somebody, once again, help me understand, what's going on here. How is there a law to protect Asians from persecution, but there is no law protecting African Americans from the same? I mean, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. See, this is what I don't get. So in school, 1 + 1 is supposed to equal 2. And that's what we're all supposed to believe, that 1 + 1 equals 2. But what happens when 1 + 1 no longer equals 2? What happened to the fairness that's supposed to be in this country? What happened to the idea of what America was supposed to be? See, there's an idea of what America is supposed to be. Then there's what America actually is to the people in power. And then there's what America is for the rest of us. And your personal American experience will vary. Let me tell you something. I heard something today that got me so fucking angry inside. And I mean so fucking angry that it's ridiculous. Now, I've had this conversation before with many different people, but today's conversation was kind of special to me. And it hit me right in the center of my fucking heart. And let me tell you what that is. So the mortality rate of African Americans being born is horrible, especially in Delaware. No offense, Delawareans. I'm just putting it out there. Black babies are dying like crazy, and a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know the mortality rate of black infants is horrible in this country, right? But then for those that are lucky enough to survive childbirth, let me tell you what's going to happen. Your doctor is going to tell you how your child isn't reaching milestones like the rest of the children. Oh, people got to realize stuff works on a bell curve for most things in medicine. It's a bell curve. So the sad part about everything is they'll be quick to rush you off to have your kid looked at by a specialist who will determine. Now, I'm not psychic, but I'm literally telling you that doctor, that specialist will determine that something is wrong with your child, right? So now all of a sudden, they're grooming your child to enter into this system that we call school, where your child will have an individual education plan from the gate, which is why all these schools make all of this extra money off of our children. Let me tell you something. I'm angry, and I think that I'm angry because there's nothing I can do to stop it. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating to know that there is not a million people standing behind me. And we'll talk about these things, and we can all feel the same, and we can all feel anger. And we're so angry that we just don't do anything. And even those of us who are lucky enough to get elected to office, You know what we do? We take money from the same interest that be there. Let me tell you something. You can't expect government to fix shit because the system is broken. And putting new people into a broken system doesn't fix it. Let me explain something to you. So if I have a car that's fucked up and every 3 miles it gets a flat tire, every 5 miles the gas tank fails, just because I take all of the occupants out of the car and put new occupants into the car, it doesn't make the car magically work. It just doesn't. Let me tell you something. A number has been done on this country for years. And we have our forefathers to thank for it. Our forefathers created a system that is damn near inescapable. And the only thing that'll make it any better is if the government was toppled, honestly. If you ask me, we're living in a country where they're pushing for everybody to get a vaccination, right? Now, let me tell you something. I don't know about y'all, but my personal feelings, I don't trust these motherfuckers. I don't trust them as far as I could throw them. At first, it was the Kung flu. And now, all of a sudden, all black people are the more likely to die from it. Then the kids were supposed to be safe. But if the kids had less risk of actually having any effects from it, then why are we even pumping anything into them? Okay, yeah, they could be carriers or whatever, but why wouldn't you just push for adults to get vaccinated? Excuse me. I don't get it. Just make things make sense to me. Let me tell you something. I often thought to myself, how do we fix things? Like, how do we come together? And it's discouraging. And it's so discouraging because the way that things are set up, we're working against each other and we don't even fucking realize it. We don't even realize it. Look how we've been molded. Let me tell you something. The greatest strategy ever deployed against the black community was separation. Was to separate us all. Separate the father out of the house. You got what I'm saying? Now, once you got the father out of the house, make the women believe that independent. I do it all myself. I'm doing this myself. In the meantime, in between time, you pumping out food stamps. And I'm not saying like this is a situation for everybody in the world because I know everybody's not on food stamps. So just follow me. Just follow me on this little trip I'm trying to take. So all of a sudden, you're pumping that household full of food stamps. So yeah, she could feed her kids and everything else. But in all actuality, Uncle Sam is your daddy. Uncle Sam is your man because he's making sure that they got health care, making sure that food is on the table, whatever the case may be, and assures you if you're on Section 8 that gentleman should not be living in this house under any circumstance. Under any circumstance. Now, let me walk back a little bit. This is the fucked up part because everything is so jumbled in my head because today just was not a good day. When I look at things as a whole, it just wasn't a good day. So now everybody believing that they independent. The man, of course, is disposed of, and you know he's always put in a situation where everything is kind of stacked up against him. As a man, as an African-American male, people are afraid of me. I've walked in rooms where, you could kind of smell fear on people. You could kind of see it in their eyes. You can hear the tremble in their voice when they talk to you. Believe me, I'm telling you. And if I'm lying, I'm flying, and I ain't took off yet. I have not taken off yet. So what I'm saying to you is that now that everybody properly fears me and the media makes sure that that's really prevalent, everyone's turned against this, then women believing that they need to be doing this on their own and everything. Everybody takes turns dismantling the African-American community and the African-American family. And that's just the honest to God truth. And let me tell you, this is the sad part. I'm so upset that I feel like I'm talking in circles and I'm Doing my best not to, because y'all know I got issues. I'm doing my best not to, and to not let what I feel overtake my mind. And that's the biggest thing. Let me tell you, when I came home from Afghanistan and all, I had to go for anger management because I had a couple outbursts or whatever, and I had a little bit of trouble controlling my anger. I did. And once I kind of got that under control, I went to therapy. I did all that jazz. I kind of got it under control. I started looking at life a little differently, but there's a large part of me that fears that one day I will become so angry on the spot that I wind up doing something before I even know that I did it. Just being so angry. I don't know if any of you ever been so angry that you lashed out but caught yourself, but it was kind of too late. It's already started and kicked off, you know? And that's one of the bigger things that I fear. So anyway, I'm trying to steady my mind. So my whole thing is this. I did a live the other day, and I just wanted to reiterate on it. My question to you is, how in the hell can we be in a society where we're accepting the fact that an act has been passed by Congress to protect Asian Americans, to protect transgendered people? And I'm not saying that nobody should be protected. I'm saying that's a good thing. But African Americans historically have been lynched and burned and shot and raped and murdered and families broken and separated. And there is no legal paperwork protecting us from anything. There is no ramifications. And how do you make that right? How do you justify that? And people get mad when I say, well, you tell me one piece of legislation that Obama put in place to protect African Americans. And people get so upset at me. Everybody want to say how great Obama was. No, let me tell you something. It was great having an African American. I don't even want to say African American. I'm going to say it was great having someone who was non-white in the White House. It's great having someone now who is not just male in the White House. See, it doesn't mean things are fair, but what it does mean is maybe because society's mind is shifting in a way that maybe there'll be more opportunity for other, let's say, underserved communities, underserved peoples and populations, meaning underserved females, underserved African American, Asian Americans, Latina Americans, Filipino American, whatever you want to say, that they may have an opportunity one day to sit in those offices. I just still don't understand. I'm saying all that just to say I don't understand how there is nothing passed that protects African Americans from being killed in the way that they have been killed traditionally and even today. It's just nothing in place. Okay, breathe. Okay, the next thing I wanted to kind of hit on was, and I told you I'm only doing an hour tonight because I don't have any guests. I've been having like a up and down week pretty much. So my whole thing that I want to discuss next is if you know what it feels like not to have a father in your life, then why would you do that to your child? That's the next thing. As I travel along, I see different things. And when I see different things, I feel the need to speak on them. Now, I did a live on this like yesterday, I believe it was, but I just want to expand on it a little bit. If you don't have a father in your life, how could you not allow your child to have a father in his or her life? Now, that can go either way, male, father or mother. There are mothers who keep the father out of the child's life, and there are fathers who don't want to be bothered in the child's life. You got what I'm saying? There are people who they go through so much with the person they had a child with. Sometimes they figure to themselves, I'll just leave it be, come back when the child is old enough and start being a father or start being a mother then. Wrong answer. It's not good enough. When you think about how many things work against the African American family, when you think about how many things work against our community, you also have to take in consideration that we work against ourselves. We'll lay down in a heartbeat and we'll have sex with somebody because they have a fat ass. We'll lay down and we'll have sex with somebody because, I don't know, there's something about them. We'll lay down and have sex with somebody because it's last call for alcohol, the spot is about to close, and that's the last thing left. And we'll feel horny enough to go and lay down with them. Or maybe our damage is so great from our past that we'll take anybody. Let me tell you something. The biggest thing that people want out of life is to be heard. They want to be understood. They want to be loved. And sometimes people give you that for 5 minutes. And it's sad. And this creates the scenarios that we're actually living in today. It creates the reason why, there are so many single parent households. You know what I mean? It creates, it's just a lot. So I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to take a breath and I'm going to just go over some of the things that's going on, some of the positive things that's going on. So tomorrow night at 517 Avenue of the Stage, Dream Event Space, I'm having a Open Mics Cafe Live Unplugged event. Now, at these unplugged events, I do have an open mic so you can come through, but I want everybody to know that we are recording these nights to be showed and aired on CMP Radio. That won't be happening till maybe about mid-June or so. These events are going to last throughout the summer. They are free events. All you have to do is show up. You walk in, there are vendors there with food, with drinks, and all types of interesting things. So, stop by, check us out. You got what I'm saying? And if you want to get on and perform, all you got to do is sign a list. And it's open mic's tradition to have an open mic. So you can come on through. I also wanted to let everybody know about Juneteenth, June 19th to be exact. I am having, in conjunction with Drink Like a Lady, we have an event that we used to always do at Open Mics Cafe called Lashes and Cocktails. That event is going to be at, 17 East 7th Street, the Chester Fine Arts Center East. That starts at, I believe it starts at, I want to say 1 to 4. And then that evening, I'm having an event called Night of the Gods. So we will be there all day in the building. Officially, I have 2 artists booked for that day. The rest of them are to come pretty soon. Well, actually, I have 3. I have Major is going to be doing comedy. I have John Streets will be singing and playing his guitar. And I also have Slick the Hitman doing poetry. So I'm working on this lineup for the evening. I will have more information available for it. As soon as I get that information, I'll make sure to pass it along to you guys. Okay? So let me get on with this whole thing. Ro is normally here in the evening. I don't know if Ro might be there that night as well. But Ro is normally here in the evening helping me to do what I do here. But he had to take sabbatical. And it's like, I don't know, I think this week in general, the start of this week has been a little crazy for everybody. I also wanted to let everybody know, if you wanted tickets for Lashes and Cocktails, I think you have to sign up on Eventbrite. I am sharing the literature from my from my Facebook page, Michael Storm Miller. Also, Crystal Anderson is sharing it from her page. It's getting around. You'll see the flyer. There's also a short commercial out, so you'll be checking it out pretty soon. Also, I wanted to let everybody know the second and fourth Wednesday of the month, every month, I am at 517 Avenue of the States doing Open Mics Cafe Unplugged. So you are more than welcome once again to come down. This is called the Summer Series. I'll be doing it all summer long, and it is free admission for anybody who wants to come down and watch and anybody who wants to come down and perform. So if you've always felt afraid to perform, man, this is your night. I'm telling you, you come through and we're going to give you that support so you can do what you need to do. You know what I mean? My whole thing is I'm literally trying to get people to open up and use their gifts. And it's my strong belief that for everyone who is blessed with a gift, we may think that that gift is for us, but it's not. Why would God bless you with a beautiful voice for only you to listen to? Why would God give you the gift to be able to bring forth art from paints or crayons or colored pencils, and you think that's just for you? See, art inspires, it moves people. It moves people to spaces and places. It infuses ideas in people. It helps people move in action, brings them to action. So I just want to let you know, if you have a gift, come and share it. But I also want to talk about, I think that's all of the information that I have to pass at the moment. I can't think of anything else. I'm sure something else will be there. Also, I wanted to let everybody know that the web series that I was working on, I'm still working on that. And like I said, that'll be coming in June. So just look forward to that. But I do want us to start thinking a little deeper about things. You know what I mean? Just thinking a little deeper about things, changing our mindsets, realizing the things that we're accepting into our lives, realize the things that have been happening to us, and realize that we're not really doing much to stop them. We're not. I mean, I never really trust politicians too much, because I do believe that absolute power corrupts absolutely. I think that's what happens with police officers, because they do feel like they could walk up and tell you to shut the fuck up. They believe they can walk up and tell you that because they believe that they have that power because of the position that they have. I'm telling you, it's like, I think it's one of those things of being an inherent evil, and a necessary evil, because let me tell you something, it is necessary to have law enforcement. It is, but it's the way they do what they do. But you know how you change all of that? You start making them accountable for their actions. And I always said, when I was in the military, if you shoot a round from your gun, you're responsible for that round. If it goes through the wall of a mud hut and hits a child and kills that child, you're responsible for that bullet. You're responsible for it. So why wouldn't our law enforcement be responsible for the freaking 30 bullets they decide to shoot into a person? If their pensions and stuff wind up being on the line. You got what I'm saying? And it's funny how many times law enforcement get it wrong. It's people locked up today that literally did nothing wrong. I mean, a lot of people locked up will say they never did anything, of course, because who wants to be locked up? But let me tell you, there are so many people behind bars that are literally innocent. And then the narrative is whatever the police make the narrative out to be. Now, it's not to say that anyone is like everyone is not guilty of crimes that have been committed. Because like I said, everybody gonna scream innocent, except for somebody who truly don't give a fuck. But at the end of the day, I mean, we got to do better. But how do you change that? And in a society where the system that we reside in is broken, just how do you fix it? And so many people believe that nothing is wrong with it. And how can you convince people to change something that they see nothing wrong with? And all politicians typically do is tell you how broken something is. They'll make promises to you on what they're going to do when they're in office, but you don't never hear them say, I'm going to make it my mission to fix this. They got to spend stuff because they know that if you say certain things, you offend certain people. If you say certain things, you offend others. So sometimes you have to stick to the edges on something. You just do. But they do what they need to do to get elected. Then they get elected. And then guess what? That's it. They in, they happy. They getting what they need. They getting what they want. They making their backroom deals and everything else. And what do we, the people, get? I don't understand how. I think I don't even know so much that it should be a president. Maybe it should be like a freaking council, or maybe those people who serve. I say this with police officers as well, but maybe the people who serve in those offices should only be able to serve for so many years. And I don't think it should be a gig that you should be able to retire from. Oh, I ran a country for this many years. No, bro. No, not at all. It's too many restrictions on things. And hell, I really feel like whether you're a Democratic or Republican, I think that you should be able to vote for whoever you want to vote for. And they tell you that you can, but in a lot of stuff, you can't be Democratic voting for a Republican, especially like they just did the city council votes and all that jazz. I mean, you can't be Democratic voting for a Republican, and you can't be a Republican voting for a Democrat. And then it's so weird the way that things have shifted over time, because before Democrats was for slaves and Republicans was for freedom. But I ain't never met a man that wasn't pretty much for himself. Self-preservation is a motherfucker, and everybody that winds up in power, they're trying to figure out how to secure the rest of their life and their retirements. Man, let me tell you something. Good point there. Jerome said, I'm going to read some of y'all comments, but I just happened to catch. Jerome said judges need term limits too. Old racist ass judges need to go. I totally agree. There are so many judges that have been on the bench let me tell you something. So as y'all know, I had gotten fucked up, and when I was overseas or whatever, and I had to go and talk to a judge or whatever the case may be. And the motherfucker was so old that I really think that he's probably not even fit to be on the bench anymore. But they got him there. They got him there still doing what he do. But we don't know how they personally feel in their heart, and we don't have no device to tone in on somebody's frequency to see, if they're pure of heart or something. You got what I'm saying? So even if you get a judge up there that's a fucked up judge, at least you know that judge won't be there for long. But when we think about the Supreme Court, they get them gigs for life. They get them gigs for life. That's why Trump had to hurry up and rush getting the female on board that he got on board on the Supreme Court. Because at the end of the day, those judges will influence the law for years to come. For years to come. And normally what happens is they die on the bench. It's really, really weird, man. Really weird. But this is the way our society is set up, and we accept these things. And for a country to be all about its people, but don't listen to its people, it's an oxymoron. We talk about a free country. Let me explain something to y'all. You are not free. Let me say this again. You are not free. You are not free. You cannot do whatever you want to do. See, freedom means that you can literally do whatever you want to do. You're not free. We have liberties, and liberties in this country can be revoked. You have liberties. Liberties have their limits. They'll say, everybody talks about free and what it means to be free, and in a free country. Are you free? Are you? Really? Are you really free? You can't do what you want. You can't even really go where you want to go. You just think you can. You just think you can. There are bases that you cannot go on to. You can't just step on private property. If there's no trespassing, they can have you locked up. You can't just do if you can do what you want to do, imagine how many people would not be dead right now because they chose to ignore the cops or walk away. And let me tell you something, this is literally like the Twilight Zone. And I don't know why, this is my lotion. This is literally like the Twilight Zone. And I don't know why most people don't recognize and realize this, but it has to be the Twilight Zone, because I've seen several videos where police officers were cussed out. I saw videos where people that got pulled over had guns and never got killed, drove away, cussed the cops out, did everything, where the cops literally started bitching up and being like, oh, well, hey, look, listen, can we talk about this? And it blows my mind when I hear people. We live in a country where dead people or people who wind up being victims wind up being persecuted. I mean, do anybody ever sit back and think to themselves, like, what if that was me? My grandma used to always say, what is it, by the grace of God, there go I, or something like that, or something like it could be you, pretty much. Like, by the grace of God, it's not you. You got what I'm saying? We all think we got this shit figured out, but we don't. We don't. We don't know how to come together. And you know why we don't know how to come together? Because they did so well keeping us apart. They do so well keeping us apart. Let me tell you, the biggest thing that keep us all parted, honestly, the biggest thing is labels. This is how we recognize everything, by putting a label on it. So let me go through some of my labels. African American, that's one label. Male, that's another label. Veteran, that's another label. I even I'm labeled within the age range. I'm from that 45 to 50-year-old age range. You got what I'm saying? I'm labeled by the community I live in. Shit, let me tell you something. We have so many different labels, and all of these labels are made for scapegoating purposes. And I know y'all probably like, man, scapegoating, that's really like a slippery slope. How'd you get there? Let me tell you something. Everything Hitler learned, Hitler took a page out of Jim Crow's book. And don't believe me. Don't take my word for it. Look it up for yourself. When Hitler wanted to decide how he was going to do what he did with the Jews, he took a page from Jim Crow. He did. Because Americans perfected that shit. I'm telling you. We lived in a whole society where people would go to picnics to watch African Americans get hung. That was like a pastime. Hung, burned, and stuff like that. And of course, a lot of people will say like, oh, no, you can't do that. But we don't even think. Let me tell you something. So when Black Wall Street got burned down, I know I'm hopping the fuck around. This is why, like, some days I don't need to be by myself. So when Black Wall Street got burned down, right? So all that money in them banks and stuff like that, if people houses and stuff like that got burned down, you're only who you are because of your paperwork. That's how you're identified. You got what I'm saying? So if you're identified from your paperwork, when you go into the bank to get your money out, if you don't have any paperwork, then who are you? Then who do that money go to? I wonder how many millions of dollars, billions of dollars, perhaps, is sitting in the bank right now, that is part of someone's legacy. I mean, Oh, get closer to the mic. Okay. I'm wondering right now how many banks have money in it that really belong to somebody else's legacy, but nobody could ever claim it. You got what I'm saying? And then this is a bigger problem. Most of us, we don't know our family. We don't know our family history. You know, the people you live in a house with, you might know your cousin, but we don't know past 2 generations. We don't know past 2 generations of our families. We don't. Because a lot of times we get real petty with it and we don't want to talk to each other. We don't want to communicate. I mean, hell, half of us will have children by like 3-4 people. And when you spread it out like that sometimes, if everybody don't work together, man, let me tell you, don't be surprised when your cousin is dating your daughter. It's a shame the way things work out anymore. It is. And I tell you what, you got to give it to our forefathers. You really have to give it to our forefathers. You have to give it to Jim Crow because they knew how to break a society. Let me tell you, I've been saying this for the past couple weeks. I literally been saying this for the past couple weeks. And every time I say it, nobody really says anything about it, but it kind of proves my point. So this shows you how crazy our world is. So the U.S. government, during the height of the pandemic, during the height of cities burning and everything, during the height of police officers killing black people, the U.S. government came out, the U.S. military came out and said, there are UFOs. They literally said there are UFOs and released some footage, and nobody said anything. Nobody's even talking about it now. Nobody is literally talking about it. You don't hear nothing else about it. You don't see nothing else about it. But I keep saying it and I keep saying it and I keep saying it. Do you know what the implications of that is? Do you literally know what that means? Do you know what it means? So is everything a lie? Let me tell you how deep this shit is. Hold on, let me break this down how deep this is. Most of y'all might think it's not that deep, but let me tell you how deep this is. So if aliens are real, I'm be devil's advocate. If aliens are real, is everything that you believe not? Is God real, or was God an alien? And I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm like, if you know that there are spaceships capable of traveling galaxies, and I don't even know if we understand how far away a planet is and how long it takes to get to that planet. And if we're saying that there is nobody living on any of the planets around us, and you have to go to another universe to actually come to another planet that could be inhabitable. I mean, do we, man, you got what I'm saying? I just, it blows me away. And when I say it blows me away, it kind of takes like a lot of, man, it's a lot of shit to think about. And it's a lot of shit we should be thinking about. And the funny thing is, I used to always say, the only thing that's going to bring this world together, honestly, is a zombie invasion or aliens coming to destroy the world. That's the only way color and stuff will stop mattering. Sex will stop mattering. Gay and straight won't mean anything. You know, I really think that's the only way that we can literally come together as human beings, to suffer such a catastrophe that we have no choice but to depend on the person next to you. And you know what it does? What it reminds me of? It reminds me of being in the military. I think that everyone gets stuff together, and when you're put in a situation where you have no choice but to count on the person next to you, that's exactly what you're going to do. And from that, you gain a greater understanding. From that, you see all of the fallacies and lies that you've been told about people. You learn people. You learn that, okay, everything you heard or saw on TV ain't necessarily true. But that's why, I hate to see how things are kind of going in life, because we don't get the opportunities to be in situations like that. It's hard to understand. Like, see, I have PTSD. I have anxiety and depression. It's easier for me to communicate with people, like me, because they get it. And I don't have to explain it. They know what it feels like. It's kind of like, so I have fibromyalgia, but I also have something called cervical radiculopathy. And so a lot of times I'm in pain. But I can tell you I'm in pain, but then I can talk to somebody who suffers from the same. And see, they know. They know. You don't have to explain it. They can relate automatically. They get it. They get it. And that's somebody, if they're black, if they're white, if they're green, if they're red. Let me tell you something. Pain don't give a fuck. Pain don't give a fuck. Death don't give a fuck. The sky don't give a fuck. The ground don't give a fuck. The only thing on this planet that gives a fuck is us. And we give a fuck about the dumbest shit. And the things that we should care about, we don't care about. But why? But why? Let me see. I'm not going to go all the way up. I'm going to start from, Ruben said, hey, what's good, Ruben? America's stepchildren. Christina said, yes, I've seen judges look like they ready to go. Everything should have a time limit. Outdated beliefs causes continued judgments. I agree. Cold money beats. I know my family history. That's a great thing, bro. Let me tell you something. I think everybody should make an effort to know their family, to know their family history, to know their lineage, to know where they came from, because sometimes, even knowing those things, you get to find out the greatness within yourself. Jerome said, that's what's up. I only know my mother's side. Father's side is a damn mystery to me. And that's what I'm talking about, Jerome. That's what I'm talking about right there. It's difficult to navigate life sometimes when we don't know our people, when we don't truly know where we from. Let me tell y'all something. I'm going to run an abstract ideal past y'all. So I don't know if y'all know it yet, but hold on. Let me read a couple comments and I'm going to go. Cold Money said, I got video of them. That must have been about the whole UFO thing I was talking about. Jerome said, ain't no racist in combat. Bullets don't know color, race, gender, or creed. You got it, brother. You got it. Hey, Mary, how you doing? Mary said, I have fibromyalgia, so I know your pain. Let me tell you something, Mary, that's some real shit. And the sad part is it's a very small percentage of men with it. And I didn't even know it was a man thing. I honestly thought it was just a female thing. But I guess, life had, different plans for all of that. Life definitely had different plans for that. Now, I should have went on with my thought process, because I was going to say something. The hell was I going to say? I got sidetracked. Damn, I hate that. So look at here. All I'm simply saying is this. We have to find a way to bypass all of this, I'm going to say, pre-programming that we receive. I'm glad I said that. Brings me back to what I was going to say. Let me tell you how they have literally patented a way to store information. And I may have said this on here before, I'm not sure, but to store information in your DNA. In your DNA. They can store information in your DNA. You can store so many petabytes. Let me tell you something. You got enough space on your DNA to store the whole internet. But it got me thinking, and I want y'all to tell me what y'all think. I'm going to ask y'all a question, and it's a theory of mine. I was talking to my oldest daughter about it. So this is my theory. How about, first, before I tell you the theory, this is how complex stuff be. So do y'all know that doctors and scientists and everybody, no one has any fucking clue why we dream? Nobody knows why it happens. There is no explanation. There is only guess. Did you also know that we're taught in school that the center of the earth has a molten core, right? But did you know that they don't know that? It's a guess. We have nothing capable of drilling to the center of the earth. So the thought process is, oh, well, it has to be from the Big Bang. And they're saying everything was like molten rock and stuff spinning and hardening and cooling. And this is how you get the surface and the atmosphere and the heat made the rain and the water. And one thing begats another. But they don't know. They literally don't know what's at the center of the earth. But in school, they give you the little cutout model. They show you the molten core, the mantle, the crust. They show you all of this stuff, but they don't know. But they're passing their best guess off to us. But this is what passes as knowledge. It's what passes as knowledge. And we accept this. Like we accepted for so long, Christopher Columbus discovered America. We accepted that even after they found the remains of Vikings that predated Christopher Columbus by hundreds of years. Like, I mean, come on. And it blows my mind how we keep getting taught the same things. We'll still have these celebratory days, but what is the celebratory day from? What is that from? You don't even learn about the savage that Christopher Columbus was a savage. He was a savage, but leave that there. This is why I like to have a co-host, because it kind of keeps me anchored. So anyway, so this is my thought process. Since they finally figured out how to store information on your DNA, finally discovered how to do that. And watch here in a few years, they'll be rolling it out on how you can carry your information around on you, because you know they was already peddling the Jones you put under your skin, where you could just scan and pay, and it'll be under your skin. I try to keep up with technology because technology is the future. Now, if you can store that much information, if you can store the whole internet in your DNA, because that's how much space is on there. How about this? This is my theory. Since nobody know why we dream, let me bust this out. So let's say this. They say when you're born, like everyone is a blank slate. Like you don't know anything. It's nature versus nurture. They're saying that, you know how to do, you're innately born with a couple of things. You know how to suckle. You know how to feed. Your body automatically reacts to that feeding and you go to the bathroom. Putting that out there. But other than that, as a child, as a baby, as an infant, you don't know how to do too much else. You know how to suckle, you know how to nuzzle in, you know how to cry, and crying is your way of communicating. But that's the only thing you could do for everything, right? Now just peep this. Suppose every one of your ancestors, whoever lived before you, let's say that their information up to the point that their children were conceived and their children was conceived and their children, let me make it simpler. Let's say a man and a woman gets together, right? Boom, they have a child. So from the point that the child was conceived, all of the information in their DNA and all of their life experiences and everything that they know how to do is stored inside of your DNA. But their mother and father's experiences and who they were is stored in their DNA. But their fathers and mothers was stored in their DNA. So what I'm basically trying to say is this. Every one of your ancestors is stored in your DNA. And I'll also tell you this. If you have children, or if you're really close to like nieces and nephews or something, and you don't have children, have you ever noticed your child having a characteristic of somebody else that they were never taught? You got what I'm saying? Now I'm putting out there, I'm going to tell you now, it's a theory. It's a theory that I have, literally. But I think, and I think this is why sometimes when people say, oh, like past lives, or when we have dreams, or, when we tap into, I believe there are moments that we tap into something, because there's been times where you could possibly know something, or something feels really easy or familiar to you, and you may not know how. Or even when you get that feeling of deja vu. Like I've said this before, because I'll tell you this, and this is just something for you to ponder. There is no combination of words ever spoken in life that have not been spoken before. Everything that I could say, dinosaur egg sandwich, somebody said that before. There is no original ideas. There are no original thoughts. I'm just putting that in the universe. I'm going to read some of these comments now. Christine said, hold on, let me go back. And that's a lot. You were talking to, hey, Ricky, what's going on? Ricky said you were talking about family history. Yes, indeed. Thank you, sir. Jerome said they still don't know exactly how planes fly, only a theory. Let me tell you something. I swear to God. So you know that a plane has to, this is the nerd in me. I'm telling you, I love to learn new things. So an airplane has to fly into the wind, and that gives it lift, right? Then you got the jets on the wings spinning, and it pulls air through, and it's supposed to propel the plane through the air, right? But airplanes shouldn't fly, but they do. And most people will say, well, they do, and they'll think that I don't know what I'm talking about, Jerome, and they'll think you don't know what you're talking about. Helicopters as well, but they do. You know what I mean? It's really weird. Let me see. Jerome said, same as the center of the earth theory. Agreed. Cold Money Beat said the chip, and that's about what the new thing about getting it in your arm and pain and all. And let's see. Jerome said LET. Christina said, we have the power to create and heal with our mind. We just don't tap into it. Or because people criticize that we don't dig deep enough to unlock that portion of our brain. Let me tell you something. I told y'all I'm only doing an hour tonight, and that time is coming to an end. I see you over there nodding your head like, yes, sir. Oh, no, you wasn't? Let me tell y'all something. I'm gonna expand on what Christina just said about us having the power to create and heal with our mind. We just don't tap into it, or because people criticize. I'm going to take the second half of what you said, and I'm going to come back to the first part. The second half of what you said, people criticize. Imagine how crazy they made people feel for years and years and years, talking about they saw UFOs or they this, that, the third, and then to have in 2020 the United States government say, oh, yeah, it's UFOs. Then to find out that they had Project Blue Book going on forever. And there are some things, and Project Blue Book was put together so that they took some of the cases of UFO stuff, said, okay, that's trash stuff. But there was a couple of cases that were so interesting, they could not do that with it. They couldn't throw it away. And then to have them turn around one day and say, yes, this is actually a thing that actually happened, and you have been lied to. Basically, what they're saying, they're not going to say you've been lied to. They're just finally admitting it. But they'll never say, oh, yeah, we covered it up from you. You got what I'm saying? So then when you're living in the government like that, you tell me this. And I know it's going to be people out there mad at me for saying it. You tell me why I should take a vaccine. Why should I take a vaccine that I'm not infected with it. The flu been around forever. You know how many times I had the flu? 0. When I was in the military, I had to take the shot. You can't turn it down. You got to take it. So, I mean, it is what it is. So can I say, oh, I never had the flu because I always got the flu shot? No, I can't say that because prior to being in the military, I didn't get it. And when I got out, I didn't get it. So with COVID, you're telling people that your body will produce antibodies after you get it. And you need those people's blood to make a vaccination for the people who don't have it so they won't get it, but then turn around and tell the people who had it that they got to get the shot. Like, make that make sense. One person tonight, make that make sense for me. Make it make sense. Make that make sense. Then you tell me that it doesn't affect the children population, but you're trying to push vaccines on them. So why all of a sudden is it a huge push for everybody to get vaccinated? Oh, you want to protect human life, right? But you don't want to pass any legislation to protect black lives. So do you really want to save my life? And then why care so much about it then if primarily who it was killing was African Americans as far as I knew? You know, so I don't know. I don't know. You make this make sense to me. Let's see. Cold Money Beat said, people better wake up fast. You got that right. Christina said, I agree. We carry the DNA of our ancestors. I know for me, I feel it. It's a level of thinking and feeling that we don't discover because anything that's out of the ordinary is considered weird, strange, or crazy. Let me explain something to y'all. Did you know back in the day, dreams were considered to be messages from God? So if you had a dream about something, every dream meant something. But as we went along through time, and you got people like Sigmund Freud working on his theories, but you know, all of his theories turned into like freak stuff after a while. Everything was about wanting to have sex with your parents, you know, believe it or not. But as I said, because nobody knows why we dream, then my theory is as good as any theory. Your theory is as good as anybody's theory because no one can tell you you're wrong because they don't fucking know. They don't know. They don't know. Probably never will. They also tried to say it was a left brain, right brain thing as well. And did y'all also know, I hate to nerd y'all to death tonight. So when you dream, your brain actually disconnects your motor functions. But in some people, it don't. And that's why people sleepwalk. They're acting out their dreams. And we all dream a couple times every night. It's just you don't remember that you dreamed, you know. But there are some people that don't always have REM sleep. And that can be a problem. That can be a huge problem. Wow, y'all commenting tonight. Jerome said, hell yeah, elevate your mind. Jerome's okay. So Christina said, Jerome, I have done it myself a few times over the last few years. I'm missing something in here because I don't know what you've done, but I'm going to just scroll down. Christina said, it is overwhelming to witness for yourself, and most people won't follow through because our brains can't comprehend what's happening because we are so used to be where we are. Jerome said, it doesn't make sense. Not at all. Mary said, it doesn't make sense. And fuck that vaccine. I'm not trying to be a fucking zombie. I agree. I'm not going to say you're going to be a zombie. But what I am saying is, I don't know what the fuck is in there. I don't know what's in there. What I do know, this is what I believe. I believe in what can be proven. And what I do know is when a medication comes to market, right? A medication to come to market, it takes years and years and years and years and years of studies and everything else. So let's say it takes 10 years to bring a medication to market. Even after the FDA approves it, there are still side effects to those medications. And those medications have been done as much as could possibly be done. There are side effects which can include heart failure, liver disease, kidney disease, fucking, let me tell you something. You name it, with any medication that's brought to market after it went through all of its hoops and everything for the FDA, they are still fucking dangerous, right? So then you want to say, oh, we rushed this vaccine through and it's safe. You can't say that. You cannot say that. You cannot say that. Because when you read your medication that you get from your doctor, it will say your doctor has decided that the benefit outweighs the risk. And I said this not too long ago. And if you don't believe me, the next time you go get medication, check that shit out. And y'all tell me how many doctors that you have totally discussed with you the risk of taking your medications. And I personally know it's bullshit because I was on a medication and I took the medication for like 3 years. One night, wound up in the emergency room. My tongue swelled up. My lips swelled up. It was a little hard to breathe. It was a little touch and go there. I was a little scared, thinking to myself like, this is it. I'm going to die of blowfish. You know, and I get to the freaking emergency room and they're like, well, what happened? What did you do today? And I'm telling them I didn't really do nothing. Well, what did you eat today? I didn't really have anything. You know, this, that, and the third. And come to find out, it was a medication I was taking. And I didn't even tell him what medication I was taking. He told me. He said, oh, yeah. He said, you can be taking that for like 10 years. And on that 10-year and first day, have an allergic reaction. Well, nobody explained that to me. And to me personally, if my doctor that I see don't explain that shit to me, but he decided because it's not his life that the benefit outweighs the risk and I should be okay because most people who take it don't experience side effects right away, or maybe it might take 10 years, it might take 5, it might take 2, it might be 15 minutes. And if that's the case, if you're going to give somebody a medication like that, you know what I mean? They should have some type of EpiPen on their body or something. I don't know. You got what I'm saying? But then you turn around and tell me that this vaccine is safe? You really want to push that? And then they have personalities on TV trying to make you feel like a dick if you don't take it. But see, let me tell y'all what's going to happen. So this is what's going to happen. You refuse this medication, right? This vaccination, quote unquote, you refuse it. What's going to wind up happening is it's the same thing that happens with gentrification. When a bad neighborhood gets gentrified, they don't say, we don't want no niggas in here. Let me tell you what happens. What happens is they say we don't accept Section 8. And then they start raising rents up to outside of what you get paid. To outside of what you get paid. Then you can just no longer afford it, so you have to move. It's the same thing with this medication. I bet you anything. See, this is a chess game. It ain't fucking checkers. The moves are planned out already. So what's going to wind up happening is, okay, well, if your child doesn't get vaccinated, they're going to be making a stink about your child going to that school. And keep in mind, especially if it's a charter school, that's a privately owned business. That's not a school district. In this community, the Chester Upland School District is basically non-existent. It's really all charter schools, which are privately owned businesses. So if everybody has to get the shot, everybody has to get the shot. Or you can choose to teach your child at home. And they know most people are not going to choose the latter. What's going to happen is they'll probably wind up giving people cards or something like that. If you want to go to this event, you're probably going to have to present your card to show that you were vaccinated. They talking about reaching herd immunity. The fuck am I, a cow? Am I a fucking piece of beef? Herd immunity. You got what I'm saying? So what I want to know is, so every year, is it going to be a new strain? Because vaccinations are always changing. So now I'm supposing it's going to be a new strain here, a new strain there. It was already whispers about stuff like that on the horizon. They be telling us shit, preparing us before it even happens, because they already know it's going to happen. They just prepping us. I mean, what's to say that all of this wasn't like a test of the emergency broadcasting system? What if all of this was literally just to see how would we react and what would we do? How easy it would be to put you in a space of compliance. You got what I'm saying? Let me tell you something. Anytime you want to turn around and tell me that the supermarket is running out of shit, and I'm thinking to myself, quite frankly, okay, how is the supermarket really running out of shit? Like really running out of shit? Because you got your wholesalers, your distributors and everything, which have warehouses of shit. But supermarkets were really empty damn near the first week or two. Everybody was complaining about what wasn't there. Then toilet paper, I can't even understand how our community can run out of toilet paper when Kimberly Clark is right down the road. They roll the fucking toilet paper there. You got what I'm saying? Our community should be the last one without. I'm just saying. Now, all of this stuff that I'm saying to y'all this evening is typically some things that I would talk about, some things that I wouldn't. But what I do know is everybody, the quickest way you make somebody, the quickest way you discount somebody is to make them sound crazy. So, you know, Martin Luther, not Martin Luther King, but Martin Luther in his 97 Theses. So he did something back in the day. And I feel this is so relevant today. So I'm going to teach you something if you didn't know. I'm going to teach you something about the Catholic Church that y'all might not know. So back in the day, the reason why Catholic Church, first off, the reason why Catholic churches have stained windows is because way back when, the greater part of the population couldn't read. They could not read. And so they made the stained glass windows, and each stained glass window represented a story from the Bible. That's why a lot of times you might see, you know, Jesus on a cross, you might see Mary or whatever. Everything represented a story from the Bible because people couldn't read. It's much like our kids. When they're little, we try to give them maybe books with like one or two words on a page, but it's really a picture. And that's what your kid is reading. Your kid might sit there and make up a whole story based off the picture they see. Well, that's how that kind of worked. Now, the Catholic Church would tell the rich people, hey, you pay us X amount of dollars for penance. So what happens is a rich person can pay the Catholic Church and they will forgive him or her of all of their sins for the whole year. For the whole year, right? And the way the Catholic Church was set up was that in order to get to God, to go to heaven, you had to go through the Catholic Church because they was like the middlemen. But then Martin Luther, when they came out with the printing, and before, not the print and press, but they used to have like stamps, and they would carve whatever they was going to write or whatever into the stamp, put the stamp in ink, they put it on paper. And so the Catholic Church wakes up one morning, as well as the rest of the community, and finds this piece of paper attached to every fucking wall and everywhere, every barn door, every place they could possibly see it. And Martin Luther blew their mind by saying, you have to have a personal relationship with God. Martin Luther said, they can't get you into heaven. Only you will be standing there on Judgment Day. You will be standing there alone, and you have to talk and explain your sins. You got what I'm saying? They can't speak for you. And the Catholic Church got mad. They got so mad that they labeled Martin Luther a heretic. They labeled him as being crazy. And there go that word label again. They labeled him as being crazy, and they threw him in jail. Then, when they did let him out of jail, they banished him from where he was living. He could not live in that community anymore. They did not want him there. And let me tell y'all once again, don't take my word for it. Look it up yourself. Look it up yourself. So the whole time, this is what I'm saying though. The things that we're talking about right now, the things we rapping about, what y'all rapping about in the thread, what we all talking about right now, people can hear that and say, oh, you crazy. And the quickest way to turn people off to anything other than what people want you to think is the truth is to make you look fucking crazy. But that's why I say follow the facts. And they always say if you want to hide something from this is so cliche, it just gave me a tick right there. It make me so mad when you want to hide something from black folks, you put it in the book. I read, I'm black, so that's not true. I research, I learn things, I love to learn things. But the more I find, the more things that I learn, and a lot of people will say, well, what information do you take in? Man, you got to fact check a lot of things. A lot of times you got to look at like academic works and things of that nature. Let me tell you something. You can't trust like a .com site. You know what I mean? .com is commerce. Com is commerce. Org is organization. Net is network. It's a org, net. What am I missing? I'm missing like two more, I think. What is it? .com, .org, .net. Shit. I'll figure it out and I'll come back. .com, .org, .net. Now let it go. Yeah. Oh, edu.edu. That's education. So education, commerce, network, organization, and it's some. I'm missing something. But let me tell you something. That edu is a good thing to look at. It's really a good thing to look at. And peer reviewed articles and stuff like that is good stuff to look at. You know what I mean? It's good to learn as much as you can learn for yourself. Because let me tell you something. It's not about people hiding shit from you. We hear all of these cliches. .gov, thank you. .gov is government. So, and let me tell y'all something. Don't always listen to .gov. But I will tell you one thing. If you were wondering who is the lowest paid demographic in America, it's African Americans. I promise you that. Latinos make more than African Americans. You know what I mean? And that's not to cause any separation or say somebody worse or somebody better. It's just me pointing out a fact. So you can't shoot the messenger when a fact is put out there. See, what happens is we get too involved in our feelings. We get upset and we fight because of these labels. So you want to fight with a labeled person. Black Lives Matter. So if you say that a Black Life Matter, people will think that you're part of a Black Lives Matter organization when that's not even true. I can't even tell you who runs it. I can't. Now, maybe my constituent can, but I can't. Maybe some of my peers can, but I can't. Maybe my partner can, but I can't. You know what I mean? Because to me personally, I don't need an organization to prove to me what matters or to shape my voice in the things that I'm going to say. So what I want to say to y'all today is that if you believe in truth, find that shit for yourself. You better find that shit for yourself. You better realize who you are and figure out your greatness. And I don't give a fuck if you black, white, green, red. I hate to say green and red because that shit ain't real. But, and the wild part, let me tell y'all, man, if y'all knew half of what goes on up here, you would be like, man, get the fuck out of here. But I'm telling y'all, literally, we need to look deeper into stuff. In so many movies that we see, they'll have these iconic scenes like the Wizard of Oz and the great wizards up there, thunder crashing and lightning, and all of a sudden Toto pull the curtain open and they say, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. And everybody's watching him talk into the horn, and they're watching the mouth move. And he turns around and he closes the curtain. The problem is, in America, even though we saw that happen, we literally saw the man talking into the horn. We saw him close the curtain. We still want to believe in that big ass head that's talking. We still want to believe in the big head that's talking. I don't get it. We still want to act like we're each other's enemies, not realizing that we play into the hands of everything. Let me tell you something. Race is a social construct. It exists because it's a social construct. The honest to God truth is, you want to know what everything in this world is about? Everything in this world is about control. It's about money. It's about power. That's what it is. Having enough power, man, your dick will get hard. Have enough power. I'm telling you. I'm literally telling you. It's about money. It's about power. But how do you keep a nation, a country, a world at bay? Well, you keep them fighting each other. It's like magic. So in magic, you'll see a magician, he'll move his hands a lot. He'll have all these props and lights and everything. He'll have this beautiful assistant. He'll do all of this and show you what sees. But he's doing all of that for a reason. He's doing all of that so you can't see what's really going on. And even when you see the trick and you're amazed by this trick, and in the back of your mind, you're like, well, magic ain't real. He tricked me. I just don't know how to prove it. Does it really matter if he pulled off what he planned on pulling off? And even if you knew how it was done, would that stop you from ever looking at magic again? From ever believing in it again? And even if one person gets exposed, it's like, oh, that's just that one person. Like they had this big thing about all these missing kids. And guess what? No one's talking about it anymore. I don't understand. All them kids that got separated from their parents and everything, no one's talking about it. No one's saying anything about it. Let me tell you something. There was a time that when you turned on the TV, all you heard was COVID and the numbers ticking, and eventually it got old. It was more interesting in talking about black people getting killed by the police, and then all of a sudden it got old. Nobody talked about how much money Amazon, freaking Facebook, and all those guys made during the pandemic. Nobody talked about that. And nobody even thought about all of the social distancing and stuff, and these small businesses that have to run at 50% capacity, yet Amazon could have its warehouses manned and serving the whole country. Did anybody think about that? And the only thing that slowed up anything was because the amount of deliveries were so great that the drivers had problems handling it. It took a little longer for you to get what you need, not because there was a shortage of workers, but because Americans had ordered so much that it was hard to deliver it all. But they were able to run, and Facebook didn't slow up. What was they? Oh yeah, they could do that stuff from home, but they're probably doing most of that already anyway. All I'm saying is that the only people who really suffered was us. That's it. All of us at home. And when I say us, I don't mean black people. I don't mean white people. I mean people that aren't middle class and some who are. They're the ones that really suffered. If I'm lying, I'm flying, and I ain't took off yet. I did not take off yet. Let me tell you something. There is a battle going on, but the battle going on, we don't even know that we take part in on a daily basis. They do studies and everything to see how we react to things. I mean, even with shopping, like they bring in, therapists and analysts and everything. They bring in people, audiologists and stuff like that. Like, okay, what tones, neurologists, what tones affect the brain and make you happier? The way they set up casinos is like a fucking maze. They drive traffic to where they want you to be. Like everything, there is nothing that is accident. It's nothing that is accidental. They set shit up in every aspect, and they don't spare no expense to really understand how we think as people, to know what we will do when we will do it. Let me tell you something, Jerome, that's funny. That's what we call free will. But how much of our free will is actually not even our own anymore? That's why they put shit up at the front of the counter, impulse buys. Oh, you're going to want to grab one of these Snickers before you run out of here. One of these things of mints. You buying shit you didn't even know you wanted. How many of us complain about going into a store, only needing trash bags and walking out with $100 worth of shit you didn't even know you needed till you got there? You got what I'm saying? This shit is real. If they do that for shopping, for us going to the market, imagine what's really happening in this world. Imagine. What do y'all think is really going on? If they do all these focus groups and studies to see what we do, you'd be surprised at the horrible experiments that have been played out just to see what will happen, just to see the human experience, just to see what are you likely to do. Because see, it's not about what you will do. See, they can't plan for everything because there's always anomalies in every experiment. There's always something that it's like you don't know. It used to be this show that came on TV called The Fourth Wave. Or was it The Fourth Wave? Yeah, I think it was called The Fourth Wave. And I used to love this show. And what the show was about, it was about this guy who they took 100 and maybe 40 some odd people. It was like aliens that wanted to take over the planet. And in order to take over the planet, what they did was they conducted a study. And they took like 140 something people. And what they did was they would kill the spouse and frame the husbands or whatever to see, like kill the spouse, kill a kid, frame the husband, and they did all this stuff to see how much it would take to break a man's will. So they would know how easy it would be or how hard it would be to take over the world. Well, what happened was they got everybody except for this one guy. This one guy was smarter. He knew what happened. Somehow he found out about, the whole plot, and he got some people together, and he got with some guy that they said was crazy, so that knew about the whole plot and everything, and they started one by one taking these aliens out or whatever. And like, it was a crazy, crazy thing. But what it reminds me of is real life, because they always say art imitates life, life imitates art. But in a sense, I think when movies like this come about, when series like this come about, it's really just imitating life. And I mean, insert bad guy here, insert good guy here. The unfortunate part is that the bad guys often make us look like the bad guys because we're the bad guys to each other. There are labels put on everyone. You got what I'm saying? There are labels that are so ironclad that I have walked down the street and people lock their doors on their cars at the light.
And I'm like, what? It almost makes me want to act crazy when I hear it. But I'm old enough now where I'm just like, you know what? I feel sorry for you. I feel bad for you. I'll be the one to save your life. You got what I'm saying? I'll be the one to give you my last. I'm probably a better friend than most people you know. But you're believing in the hype that you're taught. So we always have to ask ourselves, how do you get outside of that? How do you get outside of all of this extra shit? Man, let me tell you something. You want to know the truth? You better learn something. The other day, I shared something on TikTok with Jerome. I sent Jerome the hydrogen. I think it was like a hydrogen carburetor or something converter, and Jerome gave me this whole backstory on it, and I wanted to look it up to get the information and everything because I would love to talk about it. And I know that you was telling me that the guy who invented it wound up, it's under suspicious circumstances, dying. And that product never came to market. But that product itself would have destroyed the oil companies. It would have made, we would have been able to move our vehicles with water. He said from Ohio, I think, to California, 29 gallons of water. Crazy. Let me see. Jerome said, not where I was going with that, Mike, but you're right for sure. I wonder, I forgot where was I going. What did I say? Oh, free will. Oh, now I get it. That wasn't, everything I said about free will wasn't where you was going. We dollar signs and social experiments for the puppet masters till it backfires. Christina said control of the population, and Jerome said it's crazy as fuck. Let me tell you something. The sooner that we start to realize that there is just some bigger shit going on here, I really truly believe in my heart, the better off we will be. The better we would know how to treat each other. The better we would know how to look out for each other. The better we would know how to take care of each other. Man, we got to realize it is way more going on than what we see. And the sad part is tonight, I'm guessing it's about 9:29 or so. The sad part about everything is this. We'll have this conversation, and it's just us. And y'all might think it's a lot of people watching this, but most likely it's not. And if I was to put a girl on the table and have sex with her or pull out some boobs, this would get shared like 1,000,000 times. But when it's something of substance, typically that's not what it is. And even the algorithms on Facebook and the algorithms on TikTok and the algorithms, they drive the traffic. They drive what you want to see. I mean, hell, why all of a sudden is there like nobody getting killed by cops anymore? Of course it is. We hear it all the time on the news. But why did it disappear from our timelines? I wonder. Why is it that if you say certain things, it disappears from the timeline? But, I mean, this is that country of free speech and all. You know, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But to each his own. Oh, that looks good. To each his own. I'm sitting up here doing double duty because I'm looking for something. I can't find it. Let me see. We're told if you work hard, you'll succeed. But if that were true, black people would own this country. We are oppressed because we are black, not because we are ignorant, not because we are lazy, not because we are stupid and got good rhythm, but because we're black. Stokely Carmichael. Let's see. Jerome said free speech is a thing of the past these days, unfortunately. Yes, it is. Free speech, I really don't think that it exists because at any time when someone wants to hamper what it is that you have to say, they can simply even slow it. Let me tell y'all something. On that note, did y'all know that our internet and our Wi-Fi access and stuff is artificially slowed down? I didn't even know if y'all knew that. Like if you was in Tokyo, Tokyo has like the best internet connection. I think they also have the oldest living people in the world. The people live to the oldest ages. I think on average, you live to be about 110 out there. And I think on Okinawa also. But they artificially slow down the internet. And what happens is your internet giants, your cell phone giants, which is Verizon, AT&T, blah, yada, yada, T-Mobile. What happens is they do like this whole competitive market thing. And so they give you crappy internet. They tell you you can only use so much. And then they'll tell you, oh, this is why your internet slowed down. But if you would like better internet service, you can pay a little more. So if the internet is like out in the universe, I guess, if it's flowing on radio waves or whatever, what I want to understand is, then why does it have to be metered? Why does it have to be metered at all? I don't get it. And this is something also interesting. You might want to sync your passwords. Nope. This is also something that you might want to take. Why did that pop up? I'm actually looking for, I wanted to give y'all a definition of something today. And I think that this is going to be important to you, for you one day. If I can navigate my, no. You know what? I'm just going to do it right here. www.google.com. I'm getting ready to give y'all these definitions. And I'm telling you, these definitions are going to mess with your head a little bit. So, you know, all of the words that we have are actually a combination of words. They stick words together. So right now we use the internet. So let's break that down. Internet is two different words. It means two different things. Enter, it's a verb. Place a corpse in a grave or tomb, typically with funeral rites. He was entered with the military honors due to him. Enter, I-N-T-E-R. Enter, once again, look it up yourself. Look it up with me, damn it. Place a corpse in a grave or tomb, typically with funeral rites. Now, let's look up net. Define net. I'm trying to get my life right here. Definition. Oh, you got to be kidding me. Oh, no wonder I plugged it in the wrong thing. I was like, hold on, what's going on here? And I know I'm probably losing people watching. Now, define net. It says free from all charges, or loss of net of earning. That's to deal with money, so no net. Weight, excluding all non-essential considerations, basic, final, the net result, net effect. So even if we use that definition, which goes excluding all non-essential considerations, basic, final, the net result, net effect. Think about that. Internet. So entombing, casket. I mean, look it up yourself. Just look at the words entombing, casket. So the net has entombed you. You got what I'm saying? And normally we hop on our phones and stuff like that. Normally we're so involved in our phones. Even if we's at a family function, we typically don't do a lot. Oh, wait. So it's peak. The sound effects. Oh, you laughing at my sound effects. Listen, so typically, even if you're at a family function or a family event, what'll happen is you're constantly on your phone. You could be on a date with somebody, you'll constantly be on your phone. And so when you're on that phone, you're in that net, entombed in that casket. You know what I mean? Your mind is focused on the internet. You got what I'm saying? You're focused on that. You're caught in that. You're enraptured in that. And pretty soon, I think that most people can't tell reality from fiction. And the sad part is, if you don't want to believe me, then most people will see something on Facebook or Instagram or wherever, and they automatically believe that it's the truth. They'll run with it. They'll share it around. They'll spread it like it's the gospel. I mean, it's already been proven that Russia, was like trying to fuel all of the burning of shit and everything over here when all of that was going on. They got houses where they got people in Africa that work in these spaces where all they do is propaganda stuff. Like, I mean, it's the honest to God truth. It's weird. It's crazy. But what I want to know is, who came up with the word internet? Who came up with that? We all name stuff for a reason. So what was the reason for that? And I had that conversation also. I think I had it yesterday or the day before. I don't know. We need to think about that. But anyway, I'm going to run down to y'all these couple things that's going on. And then I'm going to get out y'all hair for the night. And I'm going to take a sip of water first because there's a couple things I got to run down. So tomorrow night at Dream Event Space, 517 Avenue of the States, Open Mike's Cafe Live Unplugged. One of my featured guests for tomorrow night is Slick the Hitman. It is going to be a live taping. The event is free. You can come out. Come enjoy. Also, in true open mic fashion, always have an open mic, so you can come out and sign a list and perform as well. So that event is tomorrow night, 517 Avenue of the State, starts at 7 p.m. And every second and fourth Wednesday of the month, that will be happening at 517 Avenue of the States, Dream Event Space. Come check it out. They even got really good rentals over there. You might want to come check it out. Also, June the 19th, Juneteenth. And I'll break down Juneteenth probably next week, tell you what Juneteenth is about. If you never knew about it, if you always wanted to know about it, I'll tell you how it came to be. But for Juneteenth, I teamed up with Drink Like a Lady. And what we're doing is trying to celebrate small black business female types. Bosses, boss ladies. It's an event that we came up when I had the cafe. We came up with this event called Lashes and Cocktails. And I'm telling you, it is a really good event. There will be plenty of vendors out. You got to come and check it out. That's going to be on Juneteenth. I will have more information about it as we proceed through this month. Also, June 19th, Night of the Gods. That's going to be the same day, just a little bit later at the same place, 17 East 7th Street, the Chester Fine Arts Center East. That place is really special to me. Anzer Kirkland used to run it. He was a great dude, man. Great dude. Miss Barbara Mills runs it now. But that's where we're going to have Night of the Gods. Night of the Gods is all-male entertainment. That don't mean dancing and booty shaking. We're going to have singers, comedians, poets coming through. You got to come and check it out. If you came out to one of the Night of the Gods or not a Night of the Goddesses event, it's always something special. So you're definitely going to have to come check that out. I will keep y'all posted with these things as they develop. I should be posting some commercials soon about it. I want y'all to keep your heads up, keep your heads in the game. I want y'all to start looking into things for yourself. And if there's anything that I talked about this evening and you want to come back later and say, you know what, Mike, that was bullshit, you're more than welcome to come. All I ask, just inbox me so I can have my sources, you can have your sources, and we can compare notes. You got what I'm saying? But let me tell you something. If you come correct. You know, I'm a sponge, always been a sponge, and I love to learn, and I love to spread what I've learned. So I was supposed to stop at 10. I didn't think, I was supposed to stop at 9. I didn't think I was going to have this much to say, but I guess I did this evening. But I want to tell y'all that I dig y'all. I'm always happy that y'all come out to support, that y'all come out to rap, that we get to talk about everything we get to talk about. I love it when I see my fellow men and women in arms that, you know, come out, pop up, and they rap too. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing. I love it when I see people in my community, you know, coming out to have these conversations. It's a beautiful thing. I also wanted to tell y'all, if you have a business, and you're trying to push your business, I do make logos, and I do commercials. I do animated logos. And also, if you need a place to advertise, you can always come through cmpradio.net to get an advertising package. We can talk to you about that and hook it up. I want to let y'all know that I will be back again next Tuesday, 8 to 10. Hopefully, everybody will be back in the mix. People just having babies or having kids and basketball, and it's just a lot, and it's a lot, believe me. But I wanted to tell y'all, always find a reason to smile, always find a reason to laugh. It's way too much bullshit going on in this world not to. I love you.
La 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 la.